I just bought a Jeep Wrangler. But is the Wrangler JL actually a good daily driver? What kind of miles per gallon am I getting on my daily 100-mile commute? Stick around as I break down what it's really like to use the Jeep Wrangler JL as a daily commuter and share my overall thoughts. Back in a Jeep Wrangler once again. Man, does it feel good. This isn't my first Jeep Wrangler. The first one I owned was a 2007 JK Unlimited, and I loved it. But after 3 years, it ended up dying on me. I burnt out the clutch 2 times within that 3-year period, and I wasn't a bad stick driver. My clutch kept slipping, and the mechanic said, ultimately, I think your transmission is going. And I only put about 120,000 miles on it. So this is my second go with a Wrangler, but I missed it so much. I missed being part of the Jeep community that I had to get another one. I knew I had to get another one. And once I started researching the JLs and it was time for me to get a new car, I really liked that the JLs offered the 2.0 turbo because my commute to work is one heck of a commute. 64 miles to work, 64 miles back. So I knew I needed something good on gas, and this seemed like a great option. Now right now I'm driving around locally, and this is a really smooth ride. I'm going 40 miles an hour right now, and compared to the JK, the JL is really quiet and it's really smooth. The JLs are so much more quieter, and that's saying a lot for a Wrangler. Yeah, of course I expected there to be noise, but I was really surprised on how quiet the JLs really are. And if it bothers you that much, which for me it doesn't, you could always get insulation panels to put on your hardtop to give it even more noise reduction. But to me, I think that's a little excessive and you don't need to do it. But that is the best thing about a Jeep Wrangler. They make an accessory for everything. Now, when you drive a Wrangler, it's not like your typical car. But if you know that going into it, it's not going to be a big adjustment. I knew what I was getting myself into, so I knew what comes along with the Wrangler. The steering wheel is going to feel a little loose because you're going to need that when you off-road. But when you're on the road, compared to another steering wheel like a Ford Explorer, yeah, it's gonna feel a little bit more loose. It's also gonna feel top heavy because it has a boxy shape to the car. But I knew that getting into a Wrangler. It's also gonna be a little bit more noisier. But if you can get over those 3 things, if you're coming from your standard car or SUV, you are going to love your Wrangler. When you buy a Jeep, you're buying into the lifestyle. You're buying into a community. You're buying into that Jeep wave. You're also buying into the new trend, duckies. And who doesn't love a rubber duck? Now I'm averaging about 22 miles per gallon driving around town, but the next test I wanna do is take this Wrangler on the highway, see how it performs, and see how much my miles per gallon improves during the week when I'm driving it to work. And at the end of the week, I wanna see what my miles per gallon is going to be, because I know it's gonna be higher than 22 miles per gallon. That in itself is already impressing me. I'm getting over 20 miles per gallon with a Wrangler. That is my favorite car. So to be able to get that much mileage and it's not electric is amazing. My first impressions with this 2.0 turbo, it's quick, it's fast, and it accelerates really quick. I'm surprised on how well it actually does because I thought this vehicle needed a V6 at least, but boy was I wrong. My JK had a V6 and the miles per gallons with that thing was horrible. Maybe 16 miles per gallon. But like I said, just driving locally, I'm getting 22 miles per gallon. Another thing I really like about driving locally, and I didn't think I was gonna like this feature, and even the dealership told me you can turn it off. But I decided to keep it on to save a little bit more on gas. It's the automatic starting and stopping when you're sitting at a red light. I thought it was gonna bother me, but actually I ended up liking it. And unlike my 2020 Ford Explorer that just shuts off for like 30 seconds, this engine stays off until you start moving again. And after about a week driving the Jeep Wrangler, it doesn't really bother me anymore. Honestly, I'm just kind of used to it. Now, one thing the Wrangler doesn't have compared to my other cars is the lane assist. And that did help me with my morning commute and my afternoon commute to keep you nice and straight on the highway, but it's a Wrangler. Having that lane assist would probably mess you up if you went off-road, so I'm okay with not having it, and most people don't even like that safety feature. Personally, I did. I had it in my Honda, I had it in my Ford Explorer, so to go from having it to not having it was a little bit of an adjustment. It seems a little bit more old school, but I kind of like not having it, so that's okay. It doesn't bother me too much. Next, let's test this Jeep on the highway. I'm gonna take it up to work every single day this week, and at the end of the week, I wanna see how many miles I'm getting per gallon. I think it's obviously gonna increase by a couple of miles, but let's see. I'm really enjoying this car as a local commuter, and I wish it was the only thing I had to use it for, but unfortunately, I have to drive it up to work and put a lot of miles on this Jeep. All right, let's get to it. So how does the Jeep Wrangler JL hold up during my commute to work? 64 miles to work, 64 miles home. That's over 120 miles a day. And my overall take on it, it's just like local commuting. It's smooth, it's pretty much quiet. Now granted, it is a Jeep, so you are gonna get a little bit more wind noise, and it's gonna be a little bit more top heavy. But right now, I'm getting 25 miles to the gallon, and I think it's gonna go up more. This Jeep is actually getting better gas mileage than my 2011 Ford Escape, which I was driving to work on a daily basis. So it's getting better mileage than that, maybe because it's a smaller engine and the technology is better. This 2.0 turbo does a really good job of accelerating when you need it. And right now I'm doing 70 miles an hour without any problems. No, it's not a Honda Civic and it's not a Ford Explorer, but it gets better gas mileage than my Ford Explorer. It gets better gas mileage than my Ford Escape. This Jeep does everything that I want it to do, and it's really not that bad as a daily commuter. So I'll take it. Let's see what type of gas mileage I'm gonna get by the end of the week, because I think it's gonna go up higher than 25 miles per gallon. I honestly thought that my Jeep days were over when I started my 100-mile daily commute, but I was proven wrong. Not only was I able to average 27 miles per gallon by the end of the week, the drive was surprisingly smooth, and for a Jeep, impressively quiet. The Wrangler JL absolutely holds up as a good daily driver. It's a solid family vehicle and an all-around fun ride for anything you need. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Little bit of highlight shining in the dew, little bit of summertime sitting next to you. Never had a reason, never had a clue, just a little boy blue. Want to back a lawyer, got my paper keys, drive a little fast speed, drive it with my knees. Speak a little Francais, come on.